Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back at Apex. Welcome back at our amazing show, The Summit, with Robert and I, where we talk about cars, mostly answering your questions that you ask us on social media or in the comments on every single video while enjoying a drink. And in today's video, we have this, and actually funny, someone commented, I'm going to send you a bottle of this bottle, which is, let me show it to you, Wimis, and said, if you can pronounce it correctly. How should you pronounce it, do you think?
I'm going to Google.
Yeah? Anyway, I saw this bottle in Rewe in Adenau in the liquor store of Nürburgring, so to say. And when I posted it, I said, this bottle is older than I am, or this whiskey, because it's from 88. And many people have asked, so how old are you actually? Well, I am from 11 November of 89. So that answers your question. How old are you?
I'm 37. I was born in 31 March of 83, so I've got this bottle beat.
Yeah, okay. I haven't. Some people also asked about the price because it's like 28-year-old after distillery whiskey. It was actually not that expensive, 136 euros. Of course, it's more pricey than an average one, but I think for that quality, it's pretty okay. But more importantly than today's drink is actually the glasses.
Yeah, so we got, these were sent to us by a gentleman named Pedro. He said that we were drinking out of the wrong glasses, and it was really cool. You know, he was really friendly about it and said, I want you guys to have some nice glasses for your whiskey. So he sent these, he ordered them online in the German whiskey shop and had them sent here to Apex, and that was really cool. So thank you, Pedro. That was really awesome of you. Just, I think, really shows how great the community is around Apex and both of our channels as a whole. You guys are pretty cool for doing things like this, so thank you.
Exactly, and someone actually sent us also 2 bottles of whiskey. It's still on its way, so next summit will be filmed with the bottle of whiskey that gifted to us, and we give it like a proper shout out.
I'd say we're definitely humbled by things like that, so thank you guys so much. That's really cool.
That's amazing, and it's actually funny because in the first year it was kind of a tradition from people who were coming to Apex. They were always bringing a bottle because it was still like kind of memories from Boosted Boris, and then
bringing some cheap whiskey.
Ooh, some things were like not cheap.
No, there was some nice stuff. There was some nice stuff,
and also like homebrewed stuff that I liked a lot because it's like you put your soul and passion into it.
We could do a whole summit about the cool things that people bring, you know, like Rob with his apple flappens and the AA energy drinks and all that. We could go on for a while.
Exactly. But I think let's toast and go on to the first question. And the first... soft.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
When I was buying, I was looking at a label in particular because in Rewe, the shop in Adenau, it says like whether it's soft, medium, or smoky. I know we both don't like smoky.
Yeah, I'm definitely not about all the smoke.
So I went for that, and it's really good.
Yeah,
worth the money, I would say.
Yeah, I noticed a little vanilla, some maple even. Brown sugar. It's got a sweet tint to it, but I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Nice. You don't even need a chaser.
No, it's good. That's good stuff. Really good.
Okay, so the first question, and of course we answered it a couple of times already before, but for the new audience it's definitely interesting. It's actually about us, because many people have asked the question, how did we meet?
Well, I actually still have Misha as Boris in my phone today, however many years later, 5+ years later. I was coming up to the Nürburgring a lot, and I was bringing different cars, and one thing about then is the same and now. I don't really love driving my cars on the street, and I didn't then, but I was living 170 kilometers from the Nürburgring, so sometimes I was driving 2 cars up. Someone was bringing them, and I would drive 2, and I just one day I reached out to Misha and I said, look, I see you got car storage and different things like that.
You reached out to the business account of the company I was working at, and he wrote actually in German. Okay, and then I answered in German. Back then my German was like, it's today not even that great, but back then it was absolutely horrible. So I'm like, okay, Google Translate and this and that. Yeah, okay, come by. So he walks in one day, starts talking about the car storage and this and that. I'm like, can we speak English? Like, yeah, I'm American. Like, why do we speak German?
And so, yeah, so that was how we met. Was I needed a place to keep the car, and just because I didn't feel like driving back and forth, and I was, I just did the road trip in the GT2, 2,400 kilometers, and I loved it. It was so comfortable, hands down the most comfortable supercar that I've driven.
Track car.
Track car.
Imagine doing it in E92.
No, you forget it. Absolutely forget it. And so I said, I think I left the 488 GTB and the 675 LT there.
Yes, you left both cars, and the LT stayed for a while longer after that.
Yeah, exactly.
GTB you picked up, I think, after 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, and so that was how we originally met. Was just needing a service that Misha was able to provide at the time. So
yeah, and then we ended up talking about ideas and things and plans.
Yeah, I mean, Misha, one of the first things he did was message me, "Hey, is it cool if I do a video in front of your car?" And he did some capitalist stuff with the 488.
And I sat in front of your license plate because I was like, you really didn't want to show it and this and that. Like, I don't care, just just do it. So as mentioned, the rest of history. So I think it was a very
good chance encounter, or
exactly very small coincidence that led to all this.
Yep.
Moving on to the next question, and it's a question that we'll be receiving a lot in the upcoming days and weeks.
No, I don't have an OnlyFans. It's a joke. Oh, that's not it?
No. It's about, do we know when the TF dates will be announced? And do we know when we will know if we are going to get a taxi license, or basically?
The reality is we've had, I think, our estimated TF date set up since August, September last year. Mm-hmm. Diana really gets on that, and she's usually accurate within a day or two. I mean, it's really impressive what she's able to do. And so we've had our dates with estimated RCN dates, estimated VLN dates, most races filled in, and everything that's come in since has been spot on. Mm-hmm. So we have a pretty good idea, but I would say it's going to be another month before we really know what the whole calendar looks like. Mm-hmm. Last year, Nürburgring did a pretty good job, had most of it out before the new year.
Last year, I think it was pretty late. Or was it the year before?
Could be. The year before it was late.
Basically, it's always differs. Sometimes they have the calendar pretty early. I believe that, what last year happened, the track days were announced very early, like in December, beginning of December, which was relatively early.
And then you can fill things in.
Exactly. And TF dates came out pretty late, like end of January or something. But long story short, we don't know. We have a very good average and estimate because we already know in advance which big events will be taking 2021. So you will know, okay, if VLN is taking place, you don't have TF on Saturday, but you have TF on Sunday, or at least 1 hour of TF only on Saturday. So you know these things, and so you check out the calendar on our website. Also check out our new merchandise store.
Yeah, one other thing to that before we start, influencing some sales pitches. If you guys are wanting to rent a car or do something like that with us, and you email the team, they have the calendar and will be able to tell you quite well what dates the track will be open, and you would actually be able to plan travel around that already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Web shop merch.
Shout outs, calendars. 50. You need to sign the calendars.
Oh, I do need to.
Yes.
I do need to sign the calendars. Just wait till you see I'm going to beat his lap time on the calendar.
On the calendar,
it's going down.
The calendar table.
It's going down.
Yeah. The second question was when we are going to know when the taxi licenses will be distributed and who's going to get them. Last year, or last 3 years ago, it was February. I think on the 1st of February.
Yeah, 1st of February.
Again, we don't know if Nürburgring is going to do the same thing this time, or if they're going to decide something else. At this point, we don't even know when we need to bid.
Maybe they picked somebody else and didn't tell us yet, because
exactly.
Just screw these guys.
Yeah. Who knows? Anything can happen, but vaguely it will be shortly before the beginning of the.
We're excited, but we're patient also.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. The next question, also regarding TF, someone said, what do you think about Carmrades? Because I visited it a couple of years ago, and then it was just way too busy with traffic jams, and I don't know what to do, and what do you think? What should I do?
I personally think Carmrades is awesome. I love it.
It's amazing.
So many people are like, oh, it's chaos, don't go on the track. I'm sorry. The morning of Carmrades, from the minute that it opens, I think it's normally 8 o'clock by then is when the track opens.
Yeah.
From the minute that it opens until around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, it's a private track. And it's almost like you're racing at N24 because there's so many people around the track grilling and having fun and hanging out, and there's not really that much traffic. I've taken the kids out in the Blue Spider in the morning and people are like, you're crazy taking your kids on Carmrades. It's quiet. There's nobody out there because the first people that show up, they're all scared to go on the track. Mm-hmm. They are thinking the same way that a lot of people do, that Carmrades is this insane thing that you shouldn't take part in. I did a video kind of busting on BMW and their current marketing, but I spoke about M-Town.
Yeah.
And I spoke about what is M-Town. You know, this is something I actually had to message Misha and Tim, and I said, guys, tell me what the hell's going on with this. What's your take on this? You know,
M-Town?
And we came out of it like, you know, M-Town is a feeling, it's an atmosphere. And I think that's what Car Freitag is also at the Nürburgring. It's an atmosphere, it's an excitement, it's just a love for cars and maybe a passion for cars. And the Nürburgring, and it brings 15, 20 plus thousand people to the Nürburgring. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you come on Car Freitag, you need to look at it differently. We always have a food truck down here. We're giving away T-shirts, and we've got just the coolest things going on here at Apex. 400 or 500 people at one time. I think one year we counted over 2,000 people that came through throughout the day. And
just at Apex, because in area you have like hundreds of thousands of people.
And it's so cool to see this kind of activity. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, oh my gosh, this is chaos, this is ruining my taxi laps, anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's usually Max and I celebrate our birthday at that point, because his is on the 8th of March, mine's on the 31st. So we postpone our birthday celebrations. We put a jumpy house for the kids out here. We have tents up. And I think it's really cool. And I think that you need to get your mind away from, I'm going only to drive the track, and go see the spectacle. Go see the people that gather in the name of their enthusiasm for cars. Mm-hmm.
But when you're going to come, make sure to, well, first of all, of course, obey the traffic rules, but respect the property, because the biggest downside of Car Freitag, and I know like 99.9% of you, our audience, not going to do this, but after Car Freitag, it's such a mess. Everyone just like leave their grills there, leave their like cans of beer and whatnot. It's just a sad sight, which again makes it a snowball effect that Nürburgring and local authorities are going to be like, should we not like cancel it or put more surveillance there?
But we have to keep in mind, it's nothing to cancel, because it's not a sanctioned event. Yeah, it's not an event. It's actually, this is what's cool for you guys to realize, is Car Freitag is not an organized event. Car Freitag is a holiday that is the Friday before Easter, and it's just in German, obviously, Car Freitag with the K. So people have turned that into Car Friday, which, like I said, I'm all for it. I love it. It's one of the things that I look forward to every year. We spend a lot of money at Apex with little return on Car Freitag, because it's just such a cool thing to let everybody come.
Because we ended up giving out all the burgers and T-shirts that we intend to sell. We're just like, you can have. We just go full Oprah. You can have a burger. You can have a T-shirt. You have a taxi lap, sure.
Come on.
Having so much fun, and that was like I think the saddest thing about this year is missing out on Car Freitag.
I really missed that. I was so disappointed, because that was right at the beginning of lockdown. We were like, okay, Car Freitag this year, here's what we're doing, and then nothing.
Yeah. And it was sad. But yeah, let's not talk about the sad things. Let's move on to some more interesting things. There were many questions about why we don't have a Lotus. Now, after this video, we will shoot a video where we're going to talk in depth about why
we don't have this or that,
or why we should be getting that, or what do we think about such a car, and use it also as a reference point whenever someone is asking a question, because those are very good questions, but there is also a very good explanation for why we don't have every single car in the world, so to say. But since Lotus has been like coming up very often in the comments and the questions regarding the summit, I think we can address it briefly, because it will allude also in the following question. First of all, I have experience with renting Lotuses. Okay. The issue with them is that their chassis is glued. Okay. So whenever you have a minor impact, you're actually ending up writing off the car, because you will be paying like 20,000 euro for a new chassis, because it's just like glued. You cannot weld it again or straighten it out, which from a business perspective is like a very difficult thing towards a customer. Whenever a minor incident happens, a minor incident will become a big incident. The second thing, it kind of alludes into also what we mentioned with GT86. It's a great evolving car, why the majority of you guys love GT86 or a Lotus or Ariel Atom or a Crossbow or whatnot, but it requires so much attention, and at some point, even if at the beginning it's so intimidating and you're like, okay, I'm going to take it easy, but at some point, oh my God, the limit is still not there. I can push so much more. And then at some point you go over the limit. And once you do it, well, Nürburgring is a very, not the best place to do that. And then things can happen. And that's probably why, from our perspective.
From my perspective, I've driven one. I think they sound amazing. Mm-hmm. I think they're pretty cool cars in terms of engineering. Mm-hmm. For me, they're a little bit too small. I fit very well in the GT86. I'm pointing here because we did a video with it right here, the GT86 out there. I fit very well in the GT86. I don't fit so well in a Lotus. I feel crammed. My legs are crammed. My head comes right down where the roof rolls down. And I wasn't that comfortable, but I think the cars sounded great. I think they were really neat cars. One thing we were able to do was automatic, the rev matching on downshifts in the GT86. You guys can tell me if that's available in the Lotus. The one I drove didn't have it. So that's obviously something that's more difficult for people. If you're not good at a rev matching.
The newer models do have that.
Do they? That's cool. So if they didn't, the older ones that I had in mind, if you come into a turn and you don't rev match, the back end's coming around.
Or it didn't, but it did have ABS and TSC, but not the rev match.
Either way, these guys, you guys are going to tell us, do the newer Lotuses have it? Can you turn it on? And I think that in a car that is very well balanced, rev matching is important. On a front wheel drive, it's not as important because it'll bring the revs up and everything like that. But on a rear wheel drive where you're coming in, trail braking, and balance is important. I think that for a rental car, rev matching is very important. But yeah, I can tell you that when I hear the XC, I think it's
Exige, Elise,
I hear it just flying down. One place I really like them is going up towards Flugplatz. I think they sound beautiful there. But I've honestly never had this big emotion to get it. You guys know I have a very good relationship. We get all the McLarens, even the Delar Stradale is a car that I'm looking at with Door Group. They are also a Lotus dealer. And so, of course, I'm talking to them a lot. Okay, tell me about the Lotus. And I ask questions and things like that. And never say never. Maybe one day as a private car if I want to, but I don't think it'll ever hit the rental fleet.
Yeah. So I mentioned like the business perspective. From my perspective, Robert mentioned his look towards the Lotus. So I want to add up what I think of the Lotus. It's an amazing car. I had 2 opportunities this year to drive myself, and one of them, both of them were unique, but one of them stood out because it had a K20 engine. It was absolutely amazing. Like the rev matching that happened, it was just like such a rewarding car to drive. It's such an amazing car to drive. But the thing is, again, also you need to like really get into that. You need to get into it. So if you would buy a Lotus for yourself and take time to like appreciate it and learn how to drive, to dial in, it's one of the best track cars. Again, also very, first of all, bang for buck affordable in the purchase price. But once you start running it, they weigh nothing. So you don't spend any tires or like brakes. It's like almost doing like the whole season for free. So that's going to be a very good car. But again, to dial yourself into it, if some of you guys come here and like you would rent a Lotus
for 2 laps,
and you'll be like on the second lap, you're still like, what am I doing? You're not going to enjoy that. And that's kind of, again, like another third reason from a business perspective, like, yeah, okay, you can put a bucket list item, like I drove a Lotus, but not enjoying that is kind of like meh.
Yeah.
So there are lots of reasons. Again, amazing cars. I understand why all of you are raving about it and asking, why don't you get one? But there are a number of reasons why we don't. And the reason number 4 is because we have some cars that fulfill this GT86.
Lotus owners are like, oh my God, GT86. Our GT86. Ours is very well built. It's a lot different,
It's probably not as fast, but it's very involving,
It has the same driving concept with less power.
Yeah, exactly. So far, but again, make sure to check out the video where we're going to talk about why we don't have like all the cars in particular, which will be followed after this one. Now, after Lotus question, someone made a very good question regarding track driving, or actually a question about modifications. When do you think that it's necessary to take out weight? When is that becoming an important mod to take out weight?
On your track car?
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously you've got daily drivers and you've got track cars, and then you've got mixes. You've got the daily driver that you drive to the track. If it's a car that you drive daily and you need comfort, you need to be able to talk on the phone when you're maybe going to appointments or doing things like that. At that point, I would leave the car completely stock from the interior, go with the light suspension, maybe do brake upgrades, and do things that make it to where the car still has the creature comforts, but can handle the rigors and the stress of going on the track. The minute that I feel that weight becomes an issue is when you say this car is leaning towards equaling track time to road time, because that's the point that you need to get rid of the daily driver and go to track car.
Yeah.
And that's when the weight becomes the issue. When you're doing more time on the track than you are driving, when your main focus of the car is track, then that's when it's time to strip weight out of the car. Obviously, we can be talking so many different cars. Are we talking the new Behemoth, Big Bertha M4, big grills, big weight?
Big everything.
Are we talking about that? Because if that's your track car, that already weighs
2,200.
It's huge. It's already more than our M3 taxi.
Yeah.
You know, it's 100 something kilos more than that, and it's that when you start using that as your daily track tool, I think then you really need to focus on weight. Now, if you're going to use that as a daily driver, cruising around, come out and knock out 4 or 5 laps on a weekend every month, then don't worry about the weight. Just run it. So weight becomes a bigger issue the more you drive it. That's really the bottom line. It's quite simple.
Yeah, yeah. This is one way of looking at it. And the second thing is, as mentioned with the Lotus, weight, of course, when you take it out, it's the best mod you can do. Colin Chapman philosophy, the only best mod you can do is taking out weight. There is nothing negative about it. Although with some cars, weight works in its advantage because you have traction, etc. So if you take it out, you also need to adjust again all the suspension.
I think with any modern car, they're so heavy.
Yeah.
If you start getting into lightweight chassis with race cars that are, I don't know, sub 1,000 pounds or something, or 1,000 kilos, then you might start to detract your braking capacity. But hopefully those are high downforce cars that are creating, so obviously there's certain points, but
in general, when you take out weight, your car becomes faster because faster acceleration, obviously.
Brakes better, in general, turns better,
brakes better, turns better, and also as mentioned with the Lotus, it will be cheaper to run it because you will not be using this much brakes on tires. Of course, with just like stripping a car down and deducting like 100 kilos, you will not notice too much in terms of consumables, but there'll be like a little something if you're doing like 2,000 laps on a year.
It's a big reason why I'm really excited for my E36 M3. It's a lightweight car.
What about that actually, dude?
We're going for next summer.
Next summer.
We're going to shoot that out there to next summer, okay? No, the reality is, you know, this car right here, this badass car, this is my XX31.2, which is faster than Pierre's car, which is XX31.1.
Because he always has a flat tire.
He's always got a flat tire. I feel bad for Pierre that I have the faster car. So I'm letting him slide in front of me for his E46 build that he's doing.
Ooh.
And I want him to have a faster E46 than I have because I don't have an E46.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd let him slide in there and get in before my E36. Tom called me. I said, I like Pierre. Let's let him get in here. Let's let him do this.
Nice one. We answered the E36 question. It's going to be a bonus.
Yeah.
The last one for today's video regarding track driving, you like this question a lot. What is faster in the wet? Going fast on the wet line or going careful on the dry line?
I think it's simple. We don't drive a wet line if it's not fast.
Yeah.
Why would we take a wet line if it was slower? If we were faster being careful on the dry line, then that would mean we'd be at a point of safety. So no, there's no comparison. Driving fast on the wet line is the way to be fast on the Nürburgring. You saw Formula One drivers come, and there's a video, I think Daniel Ricciardo
and actually George Russell, everyone's favorite ever since the last race.
Oh gosh, we could get into a whole new story about Formula One and George Russell, right?
Okay, yeah.
I mean, we said it earlier, fast cars fast, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is you saw Ricciardo, a Formula One caliber driver, sliding around. Oh my God, this is so slippery.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And we're laughing because here, I would have passed him.
In the Polo.
In the up, I would have passed him.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the driver. I think we're very clear of that.
Yeah.
It has to do with the fact that the wet line is faster on the Nürburgring than the dry line being careful when it's raining.
Yes.
Hands down, there's obviously points where the track starts to dry, and that changes. As the track dries, the two lines come together.
The most hateful conditions, because you really have to decide what are you doing, and especially, okay, on TF on track day is one thing because you know what your tires are, but if you go into racing, you either have the full slicks, the racing slicks for dry slicks, or the full wet slicks.
That's when it's...
The issue with the wet slicks, if you drive on dry line or when it's dry, they're just going to burn out. You're going to overheat them, and it's going to be like as if you're driving with winter tires Mach 4 through like the plus 30 degree summer day. Just that's like a big thing. And then you have to choose where you drive, when you drive, and it just like it becomes a very big mind game, especially with such a big track as the Nürburgring Nordschleife. So it's yeah, I think we covered all the topics.
All the important topics for today. Yeah.
For today regarding the track driving, as mentioned, the following video on this bottle Summit series is going to be about.
Do we have to finish the whole bottle for this
No,
one?
that was my next point, because I don't think it's actually pretty strong and very good, but I want to like kind of also stretch the pleasure. The following video, as mentioned, is going to be about our garages and why, or like the cars in general, why we should get some, why we're not getting one. So check it out. It's going to be released in the next couple of days.
Like the ACR Viper?
As well.
I get that one 10 times a day.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Yep.
There are going to be some other vlogs in between just to like spread it out, that you don't have 3 summits after all another. And the third one is also going to be very interesting. It's going to be about influencers and if we're jealous of Shmi.
I'm very jealous of Shmi.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, thank you very, very much for watching. Thank you very much for all the comments, all the support, for the glasses, for the drinks, for everything. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Looking forward to see you here. Car Freitag or
Car Freitag, let's do it.
Any other event. Yeah.
Good night, guys.
Bye.